Hello guys, this is Axe once again, and this is gonna be part 4 of my Nintendo Rant slash vlog, a special pre-E3 2014. So part 4 is gonna be like a backstory, and people may not like this, so just out of respect to most Nintendo, or let's just say all of the Nintendo fans and loyalist and supporter, I want to apologize in advance. If you're offended to what I'm about to say, there you go. I'm already apologizing in advance, out of respect. So, with that said, part 4. Why do most common gamer don't buy third-party games for the Wii U? Or basically, Nintendo in general? Well, it's not just the Wii U. These actually started with the N64. The people not buying third-party games on a Nintendo console. But you say, wait a minute. But Nintendo and Super Nintendo, they had a lot of third-party games. Yes, they do. Because with the NES era, the 8-bit era and the 16-bit era, Nintendo was in the lead no matter what. People tried to compete against Nintendo and failed. Alright, sorry about that. I got caught up by accident and pushed the wrong button. So, let me try this again. The third-party games were on the Nintendo console, the Nintendo and the Super Nintendo. Nintendo's competition was the Sega Master System, and maybe the Commodore 64 and MSX, but I don't know. But it's really just the NES. Like, most third party goes in the NES because they want to make game for the NES, and that's why when Yamauchi took over, he had his Iron Fist rule was a company can only make 5 games per year. So they try and bend that rule, bend that rule around by saying, "Oh, we have a secondary company like Konami has Ultra." LJN has Acclaim, and Mindscape, I think, was Milton Bradley, something like that, because it was a loophole. So one company can only do 5 games. So what if that company is different? There you go. And I think for a while, then they finally removed that rule. But for a while, and the reason why is they didn't want oversaturation of video game. They want quality control, which is a good thing. But look what happened to the Atari. Alright, so NES and Super Nintendo, they had a lot of third-party games. And most of the games are good on the Nintendo and Super Nintendo. I mean, Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter was better on the Super Nintendo versus in the Sega Genesis. So third-party was there, but things change around when a third competitor comes into the video game competition, in the video game industry. And that is Sony. And I already told you about the story with Sony, like how Sony PlayStation came to be. If I remember, I'll put that in a link in the description box about it, so you can listen to that one. But Sony and their PlayStation. So, 1995. Sony entered the video game business. So, not only Sega and Nintendo, but Sony right now. They were the third challenger, let's just say that, in the video game battle. So, Sega came out with a Sega Saturn, a 32-bit system, in 94. 95 came, PlayStation revolutionized once again what video game is. Believe me or not, they did, just like what NES did. And PlayStation was so popular that, what's the word I'm looking for? That new people, there you go, they were a mainstream. Basically, people, if they think about a video game, it was Sony PlayStation. It wasn't N64, because N64 wasn't there yet until 1996. It was PlayStation. Even Sega Saturn couldn't compete. And one of the biggest things why Sony stepped in was the minute they launched the Sony PlayStation, they had many third-party games, even support from Namco, Tekken, Square Enix, Final Fantasy VII, Capcom. I can't remember what games, but they got something. Star Gladiator, maybe? I don't know. I can't really remember. I'm sorry, but they had good games. Even the launch, they had a good game. Crash and Spyro, the original mascot for the Sony platform. I'm looking at you, Activision, for shame. But anyway, they had games. So when Nintendo came in with the N64, what happened? Well, they refused to change technology. They stick with old school cartridges. But the problem is with Sony is Sony was cheaper and the games were better. So you got more features for $50 versus an N64 cartridge with limited memory and probably cost you more than $50. 54, 59, hell, 62, 64.99. I bought a game, Pokemon Stadium 2 for $64.99. Yeah, I know, but yep. So, and the thing was, oh, we're Nintendo, they're gonna go flock to us. Well, that didn't work. Guess who they flocked to? Sony. So the N64 was basically a sign that consumers now will not buy any third-party games on a Nintendo console. They flocked to Sony. Heck, I flocked to Sony. Believe me, at 96, I bought a PlayStation instead of an N64. I try to stick with the N64. I try to be a Nintendo fanboy, but in the end of the day, Final Fantasy VII just told me I'm going to Sony. So, and that's what happened, my personal opinion. So, with the N64 release, it was the start of a long history of Nintendo not getting a lot of third-party support. And this also really showed in the GameCube. When the GameCube came, yeah, there was some third-party support, but in the long run, it stopped. EA, Midway, IDOS even publicly stated, we notice a trend. Nobody's buying third-party games on the GameCube. So at this point on, we're not buying games. We're not making games for the GameCube. So Nintendo was desperate at this at this point on. So they were trying to make some exclusive deal with companies. Sort of it worked. Sort of it did not. First of all, the Capcom 5. If people know about it in the GameCube era, or let's just say the PS2 era, Shinji Mikami still works for Capcom, and one of his main flag game was Resident Evil 4 for the GameCube. Originally, it was supposed to be exclusive to the GameCube. It wouldn't go to another platform. And why? Well, there was a story with Shinji. At that time, Shinji basically hated Sony. From what I heard, there was a lot of reasons why he hated Sony as a big company. Some say because of his ego basically got in the way, believing that my games are so good that people will flock to another console. Some say that he doesn't get enough respect by Sony, and some even say that the higher-ups basically complain to Shinji that your games are crap, even so that they're not. I mean, there was a lot of reasons. But the story with Resident Evil 4, believe it or not, it wasn't even meant to be in the GameCube. It was meant to be in the Xbox One exclusive, because Shinji just really want to keep away Resident Evil 4 for the PlayStation 2. So he made a deal with Nintendo to have a lot of Resident Evil exclusive only for the GameCube. And that was like the top of the GameCube. People were actually buying GameCube just for that game. But there were some people, I think from what I heard, the email Capcom said, this is kind of stupid. Why not put in a PS2 since most people have PS2 than GameCube? And guess what Capcom said? You know what? You're right. Why are we not putting this in the PS2? You know what? Screw Shinji. We're putting this in the PS2. And there you have it. Shinji quit the company, and GameCube lost a big exclusive. That's one of the Capcom. And the Capcom 5, they call it the Capcom Big 5, games that are supposed to be on GameCube and exclusive. Guess what? Not anymore. Beautiful Joe and Killer 7, it's also in the PS2. PN03, well, that game was crap to begin with. And Phoenix Rising was supposed to be, a Kid Icarus game. That was canceled. So there's no more Capcom 5. So they lost their exclusivity. So GameCube, once again, lost third-party support. They're trying to make deals with EA by putting Mario and Luigi and Princess Peach in a basketball game and a snowboarding game, as well as the guy, well, I guess we'll just call him Yellow Mac, which is, I know it's not, but the boxer for Super Punch Out, he was in his Fight Night Round 4. And again, they're doing this exclusive deal. And Midway, they paid Midway to give exclusive character for the GameCube version, which is Goro and Shao Kahn, exclusive for the GameCube version. And also another one that I know was Sonic Gem Collection, was only in America, was exclusive for the GameCube because Reggie basically paid Sega to make it exclusive. Sadly, they messed up that game by making it E, so they got rid of the Street of Rage game. Kind of sucked, but at least, heck, in the long run, PS3 and 360, they got the Sonic Ultimate Genesis Collection, and Fight Night, or not Fight Night, Street of Rage is there, so, yeah, it was a happy ending anyway, so doesn't matter. And if you want Sonic CD, you can pay $5 for it. It's not that expensive. But the point was that Nintendo, in the GameCube days, they were losing third-party support, and because of it, they had to make exclusive deal to third-party company, and that didn't really help. So, because again, people were not buying third-party games on the GameCube because they rather put it on the PS2. So with the Wii came, do they have third-party support? Yeah, but not from big company. They got it from a bunch of independent company, and that's what they call it. And that was the age of shovelware, because cheap games that cost $20 on the Wii. So yeah, they had third-party game, but they were just really horrible game. It was oversaturated of just no-name games. And believe me, I got a lot of shovelware games, but I'm gonna tell you, some of them are fun. I'm not gonna lie to you, some of these shovelware are fun. They're probably better as a downloadable game than a shovelware game, but you know, whatever. At least they had games, but they didn't have any big games, because the problem was when the PS3 and 360 already went to the HD era, Wii was still 480p. So you're working with two different engine or powers, and they're having a hard time. So again, no third-party support. People were, and again, the Wii was basically a complement system to the PS3 and the 360. No third-party support. Most of them are either to the PS3 or 360. So again, why? And that's always the reason again why there are not a lot of third-party support on a Nintendo console. And of course, with the Wii U came, look what happened. Once again, they're in the same boat. They were trying to get third-party support, and that failed. I mean, when the launch of the console, the sad part is the titles that they were in launch were the same games that's already been in the PS3 and 360. And this was already been forewarned, but I guess they were trying to be optimistic, and that didn't really work. Not a lot of people bought the third-party games on the Wii U on launch. People bought Super Mario Brothers U and Nintendo Rant. That was it. So, once again, no third-party support. There were some companies who were trying to support the Wii U, but in the long run, they just said, well, this is not working. Look at Ubisoft. They were a big supporter of the Wii U, but somewhere down the line, no longer. Assassin's Creed 4 and 3 were not so good versus the PS3 and the 360 version. And Rayman Legend, if you know the story, it was supposed to come out in February, and look what happened. It got delayed by September just to release a PS3 and an Xbox 360 version. Again, what happened to the third-party support? And this is the reason why most consumers don't buy third-party games on any Nintendo console, because they get a better experience, or because ever since Sony stepped into the video game business, people were just saying, "Hey, why not just buy third-party games on Sony platform? It's better." That happened with the 32-bit era with Sony PlayStation, and the PS2 era with the PlayStation 2. The only time that they were equal footing was the 360 and the PS3 in the HD era, but the Wii was just in the corner, just doing their own thing because they know they couldn't compete. Now we're in the era of, I guess I can say, beyond HD, or perhaps I call it the resolution era, because people are basically talking about resolution, and there's a big reason why, but I think I should call this the resolution era. God, people always talking about resolution when it comes to a video game. Sadly to say, and Nintendo's not really part of it again. So, those are, well, basically my personal opinion, my personal hypothesis of why general consumer and to some extent some Nintendo supporter don't buy third-party games on the Wii U. So, hopefully this changes in the long run. We'll see. Well, that's it for now. I'll see you guys later. Bye.